Welcome to the Discount Property Investor Podcast, where we show you how to buy real estate at a discount so you can create wealth over time and income today. Our mission is to share what we have learned from the experience of others and help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate, the Discount Property Investor way. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. This is your host, David Dodge, joined by co-host Mike Slane. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Dave. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us again.
Morning, buddy?
I'm doing great. Real excited about everything we've got going on. You know, feeling a little overwhelmed last week, but I think we're all back on track and ready to kick some butt.
We do have a lot going on. That is for sure.
Yeah. So I guess if you're a first-time listener, we always encourage you guys to go out and check out our free wholesale course. You can find that at freewholesalecourse.com. If you are a local or St. Louis local, rather, like ourselves, we'd encourage you to come visit us at the REI Traction event we have coming up. I know we're both pretty excited about that. So October 7th, we've got the reitraction.com website up. It's live now, and we're having a little event for some of the local people, or anyone is welcome to attend if they want to come from out of town. Do a full day event on real estate investing and where to get started. So,
yeah. It's going to be an awesome event, guys. October 7th, 2017 is going to be the event. It's about 2 weeks out from today, and we're going to be hosting it here in St. Louis, Missouri. You can purchase tickets at reitraction.com, and we're going to have some guest speakers come in, talk about the different ways to make money in the real estate business, how you can make money with flipping properties, wholesaling properties. Obviously, we highlight that a lot in this podcast. Rental properties, financial freedom, hard money. We're going to have an easy ARE demo in there. We're going to have a lot of good stuff in there, guys. So check it out. And you can purchase tickets online at reitraction.com. And Mike, we should give a coupon code out today to our listeners.
Yeah, we may as well. I mean, it's if you can come join us, which one? Gain Traction?
Gain Traction, yep.
Yeah, if you type in the promo code Gain Traction, you get 50% off the ticket. And at that price point, you're really just helping us cover the cost of lunch. Lunch is provided and the cost of the room. So
that's right.
Yeah,
GAINTRACTION. Gain Traction, all one word.
Yeah. So definitely, guys, we look forward to seeing you guys. We know a lot of people are already registered, so we're pretty excited about it. And again, we just have to get a lot of stuff finalized on our end to make sure it's a great event.
That's right. October 7th from 8 to 4 p.m. And the location is going to be Spazio's. Mm-hmm. It's in Westport. So on
so what are we talking about?
.com, you can see the information on there. So yeah, what are we talking about today, Mike? I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's jump into the topic. So who to mail? Whistle a little there. Who to mail is, I guess, what we're shooting for, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we really talked about this so much in recent podcasts or not, but we're going to dive in today on who we're actually mailing. So we talked a lot about mailing. Mm-hmm. And as a wholesaler, you have two ways to go about getting leads. And this is the highest level. There's lots and lots and lots of ways to get leads, but you can either have people reach out to you or you can reach out to them. So you're either cold calling outbound, you're calling for sale by owners, rentals, for sales on Craigslist, so on and so forth. And that's going to take a lot of energy. And then it's going to be an energy budget that you're going to have to do that. You're going to be calling them. You're going to be reaching out to them. The other way is to have them reach out to you. So that comes down to marketing, direct mail, bandit signs, online advertising, so on and so forth. And the Discount Property Investor, we do both. We have people in the office outbound calling. We also have lots of campaigns that we do to get people to call us. So today we're going to focus just on the direct mail side of our marketing. And we're going to talk about what we are doing and what you can do to get your phone ringing, to get people to reach out to you and call you and say, hey, I'm a motivated seller. I'm not going to say that directly, but that's what they mean. And I need to sell my house. I got a property I need to sell. You're a cash buyer. Are you interested? Let's talk. Okay.
Yeah, Dave, I like the way you break that down. And what I like to call it either hunting or fishing.
There you go.
So you're either, hunting and looking for sellers to pick off, and that's when you do some of your marketing. You're hunting for them, mm-hmm. Or you're fishing and you're throwing lines out there, and hopefully they come and come to you. Well, I'm sorry, I guess the fishing is more your marketing. You're throwing stuff out there, hopefully they call you. The hunting is where you're actually cold calling, actively trying to find those people.
No, that's great.
So it's just easy way for me to think about it. And obviously I messed it up here, but
that's all right. Yeah,
hunting and fishing.
That's good.
And both of them are important. And the more money you have to spend, the easier it is to just fish.
Right.
I think it's a little bit more relaxing.
Well, Mike, let's talk about this real quick, because we do a ton of different direct mail strategies.
We do a lot.
We mail to, anybody that we can think of that would have motivation, we're mailing to them. But for the new people, the people that are just getting into the game and they don't know who to mail, what would you recommend would be the, number one, number two places to mail? Personally, I think it would be vacants or absentee owners. That's what I did when I first started, and I had a tremendous amount of luck with it. How about you? What do you think would be the one or two top sources to mail?
Yeah. So again, it's to me, I guess at this point, it really doesn't matter. Just get your mail out. I mean, that's kind of one of the things I always tell people, just get your dang mail out. But if I was starting out with a limited budget again, I would go to kind of a combination of the hunting and fishing. So I would develop my own list. I always think that developing your own list is going to be a much higher caliber list than anything you can go buy online, but it takes more time. So by doing that, what I'm saying is I would go drive for dollars. I would go look for vacant properties in areas that you want to buy the property in. And I would do more than just mail them. I would get out of the car. I'd leave a postcard on it or a door hanger, but I would write down all those addresses of those vacant properties that, again, are in areas that I'm targeting, and I would mail those people letters. So I developed my own list of vacants by doing the driving for dollars. That's the number one, I would say. But again, that's a combination of the hunting and fishing or the going out and, finding it, developing your own list. I think that's going to be your biggest bang for your buck, because you're going to have a list that nobody else has. I mean, you're cultivating your own list, and that's why it's the higher value. The second one, and the easiest one, I would say, kind of similar to you, Dave. I mean, it's the absentees or vacant property lists that you can buy online. Or I'm sorry, absentee or vacant property list that you can find out there.
Which could be the same, but it's also could be different, right? You could have an absentee owner that has a vacant property, or you could have an absentee owner that has a renter in that property. So typically your absentee owners are going to be landlords, but they could also be vacants. And of course, vacants are just vacants. People don't live there. So they're all absentee owners for the most part because they don't live there, But those two different lists that you can segment. And again, when I first started, I was mailing to those two groups primarily. Now, there's a lot of people on those lists. So when I first started mailing to those lists, I chose to use postcards because I could reach more of those people for less, cost per person. And, whenever you're going and you're buying these lists, you're going to see that you're going to have the highest number of people on your absentee owners or your vacant property list compared to some of the other lists that you can get out there and either purchase or, create on your own. Like Mike said, driving for dollars. What are some other lists that we mailed to, Mike? We mailed to divorces. We mailed to probate.
And so those are two that you can pull from your county records. I don't know of any service that's actually pulling all that together for you again. So again, you can get a VA or you can do it yourself and subscribe to it. So it's, what's the name of the service? And it escapes me right now.
Are you talking about for divorce or
divorce and probate? Yeah, it's all public information. So it's all posted on, it's like the Missouri Lawyers, some website that they have out there. So again, that's something you'd have to search for. And again,
it's not going to be something that's going to be easy to where you are just going to be able to log into the website and download that list, right? There's going to be a little bit of effort that goes into going in there either daily or weekly and then copying and pasting that information out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's what we have our VAs do at this point.
Yeah, that one is a little bit more difficult to get. Ooh, a great list. And again, this is just a giant, most likely a giant free list in your area. So because information is public, your county most likely has to give you this list if you request it, or they already have it available on their website if you go out and look for it. And it's anyone who's delinquent on taxes. So you can go out to your county, and in St. Louis, it's kind of a complicated list to pull down and actually analyze and get the data out of. But again, it's a giant list. I mean, it's every property owner that is late on paying the taxes. So you can make a couple assumptions on them, and they're not always true. But if somebody isn't paying their taxes, in my brain, they probably don't have a mortgage on the property, because I think the majority of people with mortgages are going to escrow their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can almost make the bet that it's a high equity owner and they didn't pay the taxes for whatever reason. You'll get calls from people. Oh yeah, I know I didn't pay the taxes. I got 3 years. They'll say that here in St. Louis because the property isn't taken away for 3 years without them paying the taxes. Mm-hmm. But again, there is some reason why they didn't pay it. They haven't set the money aside, whatever. So that is a great list to go out there, free, super easy way to just get a huge list of people to mail.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Another lead source that we use to mail to is US Lead List. Now, this is probably the most expensive list that we purchase. I believe that we pay $1, maybe a little less, a little more per lead on this list. And this list is primarily people that it's a transfer of trust, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's a list that we purchase. You can go to usleadlist.com. I do know that they only sell the list to 3 investors per county. So there are 2 other investors in the market of St. Louis here that are mailing to that list. And that's okay. Just we mail it as well in every county out there.
Well, and they're very limited too. I mean, we don't even get the full list anymore because we stopped buying it or something, and then somebody else picked it up. So that's definitely a good one though.
Mm-hmm.
So US Lead List is a great source.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, so we've got a plethora of lead sources out there. We've named some free ones and a paid one there. And then obviously you can go to your direct mailers and find their list as well. They'll sell you lists as well, as well as what's the big one? List Source, Listability.
Those are the 2 biggest. List Source,
where
Listability.
you can find the list. But let's talk about really who to mail. Mm-hmm. So again, you've got this huge number of leads that come in, and what we do once we get a huge list, we want to filter it down because quite frankly, we don't want to mail to everyone who's got back taxes. So
every single person that's in pre-foreclosure.
Right. So here in St. Louis, a lot of people haven't paid their taxes. Those properties are up in North St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar at all with St. Louis, North St. Louis is not a great area.
Pleasant. Pleasant area.
There's a little bit higher crime rate. It's part of the reason St. Louis is always ranked so high on those lists of areas that the most crime per capita.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so you want to get familiar with your city or whatever market you're working, for that matter. And you want to first, I say, eliminate some of the zip codes. So here in St. Louis, I actually have it pulled up right now. I think on another page, I've got zip codes to avoid spending marketing dollars in. And I just have a whole list of them so that anytime we pull up a list, I check it against that. I filter out those zip codes and just delete them because we don't want to spend the money marketing to those leads when we just know that the return, it's just going to be more difficult. It's an uphill battle. Those properties are usually very distressed, and it's just very difficult. So who to mail? My point is you've got to be familiar with your city to know what zip codes aren't great. I mean, you want to niche it out, especially so we get back to our person just starting out or someone with a limited budget. You want to niche yourself down into maybe even one specific neighborhood or one specific, depending on how large it is, one specific area, and become the expert on that area. Become the person who's able to get that lead before anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's again, I think that's how you're going to make the most money in this game. Just starting out is really just niche down into one area. It's a great example, Dave. Just the other day, Dan, one of our affiliates, he put a property under contract. I think it's out in, Lake St. Louis or Wentzville?
Yeah, Wentzville.
Mm-hmm. So
or Lake St. Louis, one of the two.
Yeah, somewhere in one of the areas he works for us. Put it under contract, and we just threw a sign in the yard, and that says we buy houses. So any property we're buying, we put a sign in the yard that says we buy houses. If the owner's okay with it. And they called and said, "Hey, I saw you guys are buying the property there. Would you be interested in this one?"
Yeah, this one was like 2 or 3 doors down.
I think it was actually right next door.
Or maybe it was, yeah.
Or right across the street or something. I mean, it's very, very close. Point being, niche yourself down to an area so that people in that area know, hey, you buy houses here. Like that's huge. Again, and it's an area we bought one in, and I think we just flipped it. I think it was a wholesale or a wholesale. But point being, if you are the expert in that area, again, your name's gonna get around. So anyways, kind of digress a little bit there. Back to the who to mail. Niching out your zip code. Anything else, Dave, you wanted to touch on in that?
No, I like that. And really, I think you should focus more on reducing the negative zip codes so much as, trying to only mail to the positive zip codes. The problem with only mailing to the positive zip codes is you're going to have higher competition in the nicer areas. And if you're only mailing to 2 or 3 zip codes, you're limiting your possible results. So we still mail to, 30, 40, sometimes 50 zip codes here in St. Louis, but we reduce out the 5 or 10 worst ones. So that's just my 2 cents,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I'm speaking back to the person with a limited budget. You just want to be careful because again, if you mess that mailing up, you're going to get, a bunch of leads that you may not even want to go up in that area and run an appointment, I mean, so it's just be thoughtful of that after you purchase your list or before you purchase your list rather, and just be aware of that.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're right. Definitely focus on getting the mail out there.
Absolutely. So other than the list that we've talked about, guys, there's a tons and tons of lists out there that you can purchase or go online and scrape either yourself or your VAs. Driving for dollars, like Mike mentioned, is a great way to do it. You can just drive around and find houses that look like they need work or vacant or, just tall grass, for example, write down their address and go on the county tax records and you can figure out, where the person that owns the property lives and drop a letter in the mail to them. When I first started, I was handwriting letters. I didn't even purchase a list. I was doing just like Mike said. I was driving around. I was finding properties that looked like they needed work or just, the owners didn't really care about them. It's kind of what I thought about when I saw the property. And I just decided, hey, I'm going to mail these people a letter and I'm going to offer them a solution to this problem. I'm going to say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm looking to buy these properties. Are you interested in selling this particular property? I'm interested in buying properties in this neighborhood or this area. I have a couple already. I'm looking to buy a couple more in the next couple of weeks or months, whatever the case is. And just, open up the conversation. There's really not a whole lot to it other than just say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm a buyer. I'm interested. Are you open to selling? And then from there, you can dive deeper. But in the beginning, you just want to get them to call you. And the letters that I was writing in the beginning, they were so simple. I was using yellow papers on a big notepad. I went up to Office Max and bought, a stack of legal pads, and I got a Sharpie. And I would just say, hey, I'm interested in buying your property at property address. Please call me, David. And I had my cell phone on there. And that's it. When I first started, I was using my cell phone. I was writing them. And then I would put them in an envelope, and I wouldn't use a Sharpie anymore because it was too big. But then I just use a pen. And I'd write the address, Mr. Seller, John Doe, Mike Slane, David Dodge, whatever the name was, and then the address, throw a stamp on it, and I'd get it out. And when I first started, I had a budget of maybe $50 to $100 a week for the first couple of weeks, and I got the mail out there. So don't let the size of the list or the cost in the beginning deter you from getting started. I mean, it can be simply mailing a letter to somebody on your street.
Yeah, it's funny. My story is the exact same, Dave. I mean, I was listening to another podcast and met with another investor here who was trying to get started or had been a little bit further ahead of me. And it was the exact same thing. It was just get the mail out there, start writing letters. And exactly like your story, had the yellow pads, hand wrote the letters myself for, gosh, I don't even know how long, probably about 6 months. Well, maybe not that long, maybe about 3 months. And I was using just red ink on the yellow letter and ended up starting to push them through my copy machine. So I would literally just copy everything and then just write the address and the name on it. And it looked pretty good. I started
doing that too, man.
Yeah, because again, it was just I was tired of handwriting everything.
Right.
And then eventually I scaled up a little bit more and I really wanted the handwritten look. So I hired one of my friends to do it for me. And that was one of the ways that I was able to consistently get my marketing out there, was just have somebody else do it. And then that way, all I had to do was answer the phone, because it is a difficult thing to keep doing that, answer the phone, run the appointments, all that stuff. It quickly becomes overwhelming. So I had, again, it was kind of like my first assistant, paid them to write the letters for me and just made sure that they kept going out. Gave her the list. She wrote maybe 25 to 50 letters a day and just kept the mail going that way. So it is important to, again, just identify that list, whatever it is. And again, I really am a strong advocate of niching out when you're first starting, especially niching out your specific area or target area and hitting those people hard. And even, again, following up with them. That's another thing we haven't even discussed on this episode is you mail them once, and that's great. But quite frankly, these people probably get mailed if they're a hot prospect or like a high equity absentee owner. They've owned it for 20 years or something. They're probably getting mail all the time. So you want to make sure that you mail them again and that you kind of stand out. So that's one of the other things we kind of touch on is the mail piece itself. There's no silver bullet mail piece. There's not one piece that's going to make someone call over the next necessarily. But if you can stand out, that's what's going to help. So
I agree completely, Mike. That is such an important thing. People are always looking for the secret mail piece, the piece of mail that is going to get just a little bit higher response rate. And by all means, there are tricks to increase your response rates. However, in the beginning, don't hesitate. Don't worry so much about having that perfect mail piece or, having everything perfect. Just get the mail out, because at the end of the day, if somebody's truly motivated, they're not going to care if your mail piece is all white and black or if it's got a nice pretty yellow or red or pink logo on it.
Yep. They're calling them.
They're in a situation where they need a solution that you can provide them. And if they have a number and a name to call and say hello to, I got your mail piece. I have this house that I can no longer afford. Help me and get this off my hands. Will you buy it? That's all that matters. Okay. That's all that matters. So get it out there. Say, I'm interested in buying your property. This is my name and this is my phone number. And you can even put an email on there if you want. But that's what matters, guys. Do not worry about making it pretty and shiny and sparkly and having glitter in the envelope, because none of that matters. It's irrelevant.
Period.
Period. That's right.
Now, and again, me and Dave aren't naive. I mean, obviously, certain things will increase response rates and all that. But the point is, when you're starting, don't overthink it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Nike, thank you, Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Right. And while we're talking about, increasing response rates, there's tons of ways to do it. But what me and Mike have found that, if you're doing enough, it doesn't really matter. Again, back to the point, we're providing a solution to someone's problem, and the main thing that you can do to at least get somebody to open your letter. Well, there's two things. One, a handwritten font on just the outside of the envelope will increase people opening the letter up. And then two, the type of stamp you're using. If you're using a printed stamp, people are going to just notify that as junk mail immediately, versus like an actual sticker stamp. So those are the two things that I would recommend doing. But again, it's not the end of the world if you decide that you want to have it printed in black ink and regular font and use a printed stamp. I mean, you do enough of it, you're going to get motivated sellers. So again, do not worry about it that much. Just get the mail out, period, like Mike said. So
that's what we do. That's actually what I was working on before we picked up the call, was sorting through all of our lists. And Podio has to work really hard sorting through all those seller leads we have in the system nowadays.
That's right.
To spit out the ones I want to print today. So.
That's right. Mike, just one last thing to wrap this up. So we've mentioned a ton of different lists that we use, that we purchase, that we create. Driving for Dollars is a list that we create. We also create lists from not YouTube, but Zillow and Craigslist. We have virtual assistants that are scraping lists for divorces and probate, and so on and so forth. Where was I going with this? When to stop mailing is what my point was. So we create all these lists. We buy these lists. We mail them. Okay. You've probably heard several times that, the money's in the follow-up. So I want to reiterate that the money is in the follow-up. And we continue to mail these lists until they tell us that the property is sold, or what's the other reason, Mike?
What'd you say? The property's sold, or why else why would we stop mailing? Or why would we stop calling?
The house burnt down or the property sold. That's about it. If they tell us stop mailing, we will stop mailing, or we will change the frequency.
Right.
To make it much less, obviously. We're not, trying to be annoying to people, but at the same time, we may be offering a solution to a problem that doesn't exist today, but it may exist in 6 months or a year. So oftentimes if they say, hey, I'm not selling today, we say, okay, great, no problem, and then we'll go in and we'll change the frequency of that particular lead, of that, homeowner, from monthly or every 6 weeks or every 8 weeks down to maybe every 6 months or even yearly.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the money's in the follow-up, guys. So the last thing I want to leave you with from myself here today is, if you do get a list and you mail that list 1 or 2 times and you don't have a ton of success off of it, don't give up. You got to keep mailing. I think I've read numerous stats out there, but I think it takes between 5 and 7 touches on average to get somebody to agree to work with you or to call you. And, there's people that we've been mailing, especially some of Ray's probate lists, we've been mailing for 6 or 7 years. And at this point, we may only mail them quarterly or even every 6 months, but they've been getting letters from our company or from somebody at our company for 6 or 7 years. And oftentimes we'll get calls and people will say, hey, I've been getting your damn letters for 6 years, but I'm ready to sell now. And it's like,
and the thing is, it puts you in the running. So just because
it puts you in the running, right?
It puts you in the running, a lot of times because those people do collect letters, and you'll see that. And you'll show up at an appointment, they'll be like, oh yeah, I had, 10 people. You're the only one who answered the phone. Or you're one of 3 that answered the phone to come out today. Well, it puts you in the running, man. Like you are one of the buyers there. Like that's the whole idea, is to get in front of the decision maker so you can try to buy that house.
Right.
And that's the business we're in. There is competition, but hey, that's part of it. All right. So Dave, we'll go ahead and wrap up. I've got a quote here we can wrap up the episode with. Direct mail doesn't cost money. It makes money.
It makes money. It's so true, guys. It costs a little bit up front, but at the end, it's going to make you money. So you got to do it, and it's going to prevent you from having to spend countless hours cold calling and just doing all these other things that we still do, but it's going to help out. So you got to do it. If you want to be successful in this business, every dollar you spend, you're going to make $2, $3, $4, $5, even $10 back.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. We look forward to seeing you guys at the REI Traction event. Check that out online, reitraction.com. Or if you're not local and you want to get started in wholesaling, check out our free wholesale course on freewholesalecourse.com. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thanks in advance for your support. And remember, you make your money when you buy and get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.